first YouTube videos, I talked about the genius of Jimmie Blanton. Discovered by Duke Ellington at age 21 in 1939, he would die less than 3 years later of tuberculosis. In that short time, he redefined jazz bass playing. A virtuoso, he was equally adept at playing arco. That means with the bow, and pizzicato. That means playing with your fingers. His tone, his pitch, his technique, his melodicism. He moved the bass to the front of the band, literally and figuratively. He was like the Charlie Parker of the instrument, or the Jaco Pastorius of his time. Let's talk about the duet on Body and Soul, a standard by Johnny Green. Take number 3. So it's amazing the way he's playing this melody. If you're familiar with the melody at all, he's being incredibly expressive with it. He's taking liberties with it, with the rhythm and the time, and it's just really individual the way he's stating it. The diminished runs, the control he has, the use throughout, and just the way he throws them out there is spot on, and you'll hear that throughout the solo. It's killing. So expressive. The way that he's being creative with his rhythms. He's just not playing the same thing each time. He's laying back. He's not worried about keeping time like we usually do as bass players. And really speaking something that's clear and interesting. We get to the bridge, the key changes, he's playing longer notes instead of the shorter ones we already heard, and then we get to one of my favorite licks in the song. So expressive. So this is really cool what he does. Back then the bass was kind of this two-fisted instrument. Bass players were playing a lot of quarter notes in jazz and not dealing with much more. Maybe you had guys playing slap bass, and he introduced all this kind of left hand dexterity that's standard on the instrument now, but he plays a lick here that's very guitaristic in the way that it sounds and its approach. This is amazing. He does that in more than one place in the solo. He just introduced this much more virtuosic way of playing that's incredible. You also hear him play a lot of sequences, a lot of motifs that he takes and moves through the keys. To get back into the A section, he takes a sequence and changes the keys as the chords change. He does this throughout as well, very effectively, and it just shows the kind of control that he had over the instrument and his ideas as they came out. Another thing that's really important to observe in this solo is how vertical he's playing. He is really outlining chords. We are hearing the changes. He was a progenitor of bebop, and he is really informing his playing kind of with an early bebop kind of concept. Let's not forget the early jam sessions at Minton's in Harlem. Jimmie Blanton was there with all those cats who were inventing this new way of playing. And I guarantee it, you can hear the seeds of bebop in this bass solo. Doesn't Duke sound beautiful? He sets up the bridge and Blanton takes it a step further. He goes from playing arco to playing pits, and it's gorgeous. This is one of my favorite parts. What a great shape he's creating to this phrase. And it's all D major, and he makes it sound beautiful. Jimmie Blanton also expanded the range of the instrument. Now, granted, he doesn't go really high in this solo, but you can clearly hear how his lines rise and fall with each phrase. Also, dig how relaxed he's playing and how huge and easy the entire sound is. Ooh! Again, this is a bebop-like approach. It's chromatic. It's linear. It's vertical. It's so well constructed, and we could say that it's compositional, the way that it's put together. Okay, beautiful. He actually quotes another tune there. That's a tune called The Man I Love. He was really clever with the way he would introduce quotes into his soloing. When you hear the other recordings that he did, he would pepper his playing with all these incredible quotes of popular songs of the day. It just showed how much control he had and how he was able to think quickly and just be in the moment. It's really cool. He winds down rhythmically and ends on a tonic, just like a good bass player. Just beautiful. Jimmie Blanton changed the way that the bass is played. The modern jazz bassist in 2022 still is building on the innovations that Blanton created almost 100 years ago. You can literally hear connections to Blanton's music in the playing of greats like Oscar Pettiford, Ray Brown, Paul Chambers, and even Charles Mingus. I started learning this solo at age 15, and more than 30 years later, I'm still learning from it. So if you're not hip to Jimmie Blanton, do yourself a favor and check him out, and you can thank me later.